Oh, damn it!
Yes, that happened. To me. I was driving westbound on Interstate 10 towards Phoenix through Tucson, and I learned that my friend was working in Tucson that day, and he was going to be heading west, just like me, in a little bit, like 45 minutes. So I said, hey, why don't we go to the Flying J there in Eloy, Arizona, and meet up for some Sonoran dogs? Because across the street from that Flying J, there's a little hot dog stand that makes Sonoran dogs. Don't know really what they are, but I know they are exquisite. They are very good. So if you're ever in Eloy, Arizona, go check them out. They're across the street from the Flying J. That was the plan. So I got there. He said he was like 45 minutes behind, so I said I would wait. So I went and parked the truck, and there I waited for maybe, I don't know, 20, 30 minutes, something like that. And along came this guy. Now, he wasn't even trying to park his shit. He was just like passing through the parking spots to make that left-hand turn for whatever. I don't know what he was doing, right? But that never happened because he ended up smashing my shit, as you saw in the beginning of this video. Now, people that have seen that video, they've asked me, you know, did you jump out of your truck and beat the shit out of that guy? Did you pee on his shoes? Did you show him your wiener? Like, all sorts of weird stuff. Now, I didn't do any of that. I didn't do any of that because ultimately it wouldn't change what happened. It wouldn't change anything. In fact, it would probably make things worse off for me, right? I kick that guy's ass or pee on his shoes or expose myself at the truck stop. That's going to bring a lot of legal consequences for myself, and I don't need that shit. So no, I didn't do any of that. But don't get me wrong, there was that, part of my lizard brain that just wanted to go up to that guy and say, hey, motherfucker, I'm going to carve out your fucking eyes. But I didn't do that either because I'm not a psychopath. And I don't care what the doctors at the Banner Behavioral Health Center say, they're just wrong. And of course, the comedic part of my brain, it was like, what if I just went up to this guy and was like, maybe those doctors were right. No, they weren't. But anyways, I didn't do any of those things. I just got out of my truck, inspected the damage, and allowed that to enter into my soul and crush me. Now, when I say crush me, I don't mean like the people on that Ocean Gate sub. Not that kind of crush. I mean an emotional crushing of my soul for what this human wasteland just did to my truck. But look, ultimately, I didn't freak out because I don't know what this dude has going on in his life. I mean, maybe he's got some family problems, some health problems, some kind of issues in life where his head just wasn't in the game. And I'm not about to run out of my truck and start screaming and swinging at this guy, because I don't know. I don't know what he's got going on in his life. But that being said, when you're driving an 18-wheeler, in fact, when you're driving any kind of car, if your head isn't 100% in the game, you shouldn't be behind the wheel. And unfortunately, that's like 95% of all drivers, completely unaware of what's going on around them. Now, when I talked to this guy, he said that he was too focused on these barriers right here and to not hit them, and he just wasn't paying attention to what was going on behind him. And like, no shit, dude. Obviously, if you were, this wouldn't have happened. And when you're driving a semi-truck, what's happening in front of you is just as important as what's going on behind you, because you have 50 plus feet of vehicle behind you that can really cause a lot of damage if you're not paying attention, as this chap clearly wasn't. He also stated to me that he is a fairly new driver, so that's probably his career done, at least with Schneider, and more than likely everywhere else, because an incident like that is so wildly and astonishingly preventable. Yeah, I know everybody makes mistakes, But the reason they make them is because they're not paying attention to what's going on. Yes, there are those kinds of mistakes that no matter what you did, something went wrong, and that's fine. That's different, right? That's not born out of incompetence. That's just born out of misfortune. This is an incident that's born out of incompetence, because all it would have taken to prevent this was this guy going like, boop, looking out of his driver's side window, seeing that he doesn't have enough room to clear it, and the whole thing would have never happened. And that's what drives me like insane about this situation. Like, he also stated that he's a fairly new driver, right? So there's that. There's not that experience. However, you shouldn't need any amount of experience to know that I have this much vehicle behind me and I need to always look in my mirrors, look what's going on behind me. Can I clear that turn? Because that's a very common thing when driving an 18-wheeler. So obviously this guy doesn't belong behind an 18-wheeler. And, you know, I don't want the guy to lose his job. I don't want the guy to get fired. However, this guy is driving, or at least he was, on the same roads that you and I are driving on. And what this country really needs is stricter standards for getting your driver's license. Someplace like Finland, right? Sure, that would automatically disqualify probably 95% of Americans on the roads, but we would all be better off, right? People would have to actually learn how to drive. Because currently, overall, the country's pretty lacking in that department. And stuff like this happening in truck stops is so commonplace. In my 10 years that I've been on the road, I've seen countless of trucks smashed by another truck that's trying to park or do whatever, or doesn't clear a turn. And that's crazy, because it should be impossible for it to happen, because all you have to do is look. Oh, that's all you have to do is just look, double check, make sure. People ain't got time for that kind of shit. This is the kind of shit that happens. And it's crazy. You know, it's kind of like people that get hit by trains, right? You think that like that should be impossible. You know where the vehicle's coming from, you know where it's going, and you can feel it coming, right? Even if you can't hear it, you feel it in the ground. And somehow people manage to get hit by trains. That is crazy shit. I don't even know why I'm saying any of this. It's utterly pointless. It's never going to change. Drivers are just going to be shit, and they're going to get shittier and shittier and shittier and shittier and shittier and shittier. And then like now they're got cell phones and TikTok, and they're too busy doing that while they're driving. And just recently, actually not recently, a couple months ago, there was a semi-truck driver here in Phoenix, and he caused an accident and he killed several people. And it turns out he was on TikTok at the time of the accident. And this is not, I'm not just blasting truckers, right? This is everybody. I spend most of my time on the roads of the United States, and drivers are shit. They're not paying attention to what they're doing. They're not paying attention to what's going on around them. And worst of all, everybody's got this me first attitude. And when you get two me first assholes that end up in the same place, bad things happen. Two egos clashing like me first. And then, unfortunately, one, both, or an outside party pays the price for people's incompetence. But yeah, I don't want the guy to lose his job. Hopefully he comes out of this relatively okay. And if he does, I hope that he uses it for a massive learning experience. Always look, always double check. But anyways, a wrecker came. They took my truck up to Tolleson, Arizona, where it is now, and I'm still waiting for a quote. I'm guessing it's going to be like, I don't know, at least $15,000. I had my truck smashed in a couple months ago, late last year, when I was parked for home time. I came back and found my door all smashed up, and that was like $8,000. And that's another crazy thing, is that in the past 2 years, this is the fourth time this has happened, right? The first time, thankfully, it was this guy who, clearly doesn't know how to park. He's got all the room in the world, just can't handle it. And fortunately, he ended up smashing into my trailer, not into my truck. Then a short time after that, there was this guy. Despite having all this room over here, he couldn't swing it and ended up, in his attempt to park, scraping against the front left side corner of my truck. Then there was the aforementioned guy that smashed into my door, and now there's this guy in Eloy, Arizona, that he took the magnum opus, right? He didn't just scrape something. He completely took my hood off, took my bumper off, and destroyed my shit. I've been on the road for over 10 years now. I've logged over 1 million miles, and all of this has transpired in the last 2 years. So I don't know if I pissed somebody off, or they put a hex on me, or a curse, or voodoo something or other. I don't know. Maybe it's just happenstance. Maybe that's just the way it happened. And I just have to, like I do with most things in life, I try to take it in stride, right? I got some time off, which also, that's another thing that worked out rather well, because when I got hit July 5th, over a week ago now, I was scheduled to be on home time a week and a half from that point anyways. And on top of that, it happened in Eloy, Arizona. They towed me to Tolleson, and that put me like 30 miles from home, which this could have easily happened in Texas or Florida or New York or Washington, halfway across the country, and that would have been a lot worse. So I have to take the wins where I can get them and just deal with all of this like a man. Now, when you say deal with a problem like a man, that's a very arbitrary thing. It can mean anything. And for me, it means this. Cazadores Reposado. My favorite tequila. It is so good. I also have this guy to hang out with, Mr. Cazadores. The Beast Unleashed. Monster Energy is now getting into the craze that's been everybody's doing this. Seltzers, hard seltzers. I've seen a Sunny D one, right? That's crazy. That's like a kids drink, and they're like, oh, now with booze, right? Obviously not for kids, but for the adults who, I guess, enjoyed Sunny D when they were kids. I've seen a Coca-Cola one with Jack Daniels, and everybody's getting in on it. Now it's Monster Energy drink. So, smell test. Smells just like the white can Monster Energy drink. I don't know what it's called. I don't know what flavor it is, but this one's called White Haze. And not bad. Tastes just like the white regular Monster, and it's at 6% alcohol, so you don't really. I'm not getting a lot of the alcohol. I tried the green one. I don't know what the flavor of it is called, but it's a green can, the one with the booze in it. And that one's rubbish. Like, all you taste is alcohol. And when you're tasting alcohol, you're not tasting what it should taste like. And it's not bad, but it's not great, right? I wouldn't shoplift it again. Anyways, thank you for watching. I hope you're all healthy. I hope you're all doing good. I hope nobody's smashed up your shit. Don't drink and drive. Stop looking at your cell phones while driving. There's nothing so important that it has to happen right now. Stop making TikToks while you're driving. Stop making any kind of videos while you're driving. Just stop it. And always pay attention, especially if you drive a goddamn semi truck.